Oh, it's so wonderful to see you again. Come in and unwind. Welcome back to the Celestial Cafe, a podcast for the magical mind.
So come, take a seat. Would you like something sweet? A star drop potion for the soul? Maybe an enchanted eclair as a treat?
I just baked a batch of warm cookies with a dash of moonlight. I wonder what will happen if you take a little bite.
Here is your bewitching beverage. Let each sip melt your worries away. It's time to open your mind. I wonder what magic awaits us today.
Did you want to do the intro, or do you want me to do it, Fuchsia?
You can do it if you want to.
Okay, neither of us make a decision, so we're just both like, I mean, if you want to, or I can
Libra
do it.
sun, Libra rising.
Hi, and welcome back to the Celestial Cafe, a podcast for the magical minds. Today we have two of our usual four co-hosts, myself, Panthera the Fairwood Witch, and Fuchsia.
Hello.
We're going to be talking about candle magic today. So this is one of our mini episodes where we kind of have just a portion of the hosts here to talk more in depth about a little small niche of our practices, or just like a topic we're interested in. And both of us are very passionate about candle magic.
We like to set things on fire.
Yes, that might be part of it, or most of it, but... So before we get started, we want to take a moment to thank our lovely patrons for supporting the podcast. You guys are fantastic, and we really appreciate you. You help us do what we're doing here at the Celestial Cafe. So if anybody else is interested in joining, you can check us out at patreon.com/celestialcafetv. It'll be down in the description.
All our relevant links will be down in the description below, so you can find us all over on the internet, whether we remember our handles when we're talking or not.
Yes.
It's convenient
hard
like
to know
that.
if it's like a Celestial Cafe podcast, Celestial Cafe TV on some places. Also, we are up to, if you didn't hear our previous announcements, we are up to weekly episodes. Our next episode is going to be all about moon magic, and it's going to be streamed live on Twitch. So come join us on Thursday for the live episode. Otherwise, the episode will be available on YouTube and all podcasting platforms on Monday. So we hope to see you then. That will be our whole 4-host extravaganza. So very excited for it. But so anyways, Fuchsia, what got you into candle magic?
It's such a low barrier entry, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I already like candles. Well, and
Who doesn't
I
like candles,
like things that
honestly?
smell nice. So I had candles, and I got into, like, when I started actually doing actual magic, I was like, this is right here. This is easy. This is...
Mm-hmm.
And it's just always made kind of, like, it's always clicked really well with me. And also what happened was that one day I was like, it sounds kind of fun to make candles. And so I just did, like, this one-off Twitch stream of, like, learning how to make candles, which I don't know if you know, learning how to do a craft on stream when nobody else knows
It's
how
hard.
to do it to help you is a challenge, and it was confusing. And also I thought I got a candle making kit, so I thought I had everything, and I did not have everything. So partway through the stream, I was like, okay, let me order things from Target to be delivered in the next half hour. And
That's so clever, though. Like, that's awesome that you could just get things delivered during your stream.
Right? It's nice that Target's literally right down the street. But so, and then I was just like, you know what? I really like this. And I like making candles. So let's do some candle magic. And that's kind of just what started me on candle magic, just doing a random stream where I thought it would be fun to learn. And here I am. Now I have a candle shop, and I make candles all the time. Well, not currently, but I will be this weekend. Actually, finally
Ooh, that's so exciting. Are you
restocking my
going to be
shop.
making any new ones, or?
I really need to restock on the chime candles that I made and the reversal, the double action, the negativity reversal ones. I sell those to my local witchcraft shop and they
nice.
have an order in for me, so I need to make those. But I don't know if I'm going to be I want to make new ones, but probably not this weekend. But there will be some added to the shop.
Ooh, so exciting. But yeah, if you guys don't know, Fuchsia has an Etsy shop where she sells her handmade candles. So if you're interested, it's etsy.com/lunarlibraries, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and her candles are beautiful. They're amazing. Highly recommend.
Thanks. But what about you? Why do you do candle magic? How did you get started in it?
So I feel like, once again, like candle magic is so accessible. It's such like an easy, like beginner spell, I think. Mm-hmm. And also one thing that I've just always loved about candle magic is like, I love the aesthetic. I'm a Libra. I'm sorry.
Libra rising.
It's so witchy. Like candle magic is just like, you got your herbs, you're like coating your candle, you're scratching like symbols and like arcane like symbolism into your candle, you're rolling it in your crushed up herbs that you've ground in your mortar and pestle, or like it's just the whole act of it is like magical. You put your I put crystals around my candles, so it incorporates like everything that I love about witchcraft. And there's like so many other ways to do spells in general, but I think that's why I find myself just drawn to candle magic so much. It's like I love fire, and maybe this comes from not having like any fire in my chart at all, but I think it's beautiful, and I love having a lot of fire in my chart. Yeah. And it's just like, I love it so much. So I feel like it's such a great way to dip your toes into witchcraft, and also just like a way to like go back to basics. And like when I'm just like really feeling like, even like when I'm feeling detached from my craft and I'm like, man, I really want to just like feel witchy again. Like a candle spell is such a good way to go to it.
Yeah, like the thing I love about candle magic is that it can be as simple or as complicated as you want to make it to be.
Absolutely.
So, like, if I'm not feeling it, but I need some money quick, I'm just going to stick a green candle in the candle holder and light it and let it burn, and money comes to me. With the intention of, burning it with the intention of getting money. But if I really want to put some oomph, there's the herbs. I usually put like pyrite around it.
Spicy.
Like you can make it super fancy. You can like anoint it with oils. Like there's so many things you can do with it, but it can also just be, basic candle on fire. One of the things I love, we totally did not say this, and how we got started with candle magic is actually, I'm willing to bet you started with candle magic even before that, because everyone starts with candle magic.
Oh, blowing out birthday candles.
Blowing up birthday candles. The one magic spell that everyone does. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate birthdays, but other than that.
Candle magic and etc. So let's talk a little bit about like cultural candle magic, because I feel like we talked about the obvious, the birthday candles, but also just like, I know like super non-witchy people who that's like their finishing touch after they clean their house is setting the candle, because it sets the mood that they want, right? They're using it to obtain a certain energy in their space, which like that alone is candle magic. Or just like choosing scents because of how you want them to make you feel. Like my parents are obsessed with like good smells. They've got like the scented oil things like all through the house, a little with the warmer underneath it, all that stuff. But like they're always seeking ocean scents. And I was like, why do you always seek ocean scents? It's like, because it's like calming. It reminds me of the beach. It's like nostalgic. It's like, okay, so you're using like a correspondence essentially, right? It's a calming correspondence. So it's like, so fascinating to me.
My mom is a total sea witch. I mentioned this to you a little. My mom, for those who don't know, my mom is not actually
a sea witch. My mom might be a pool witch.
My mom does not actually. She does not identify as a witch. She does not practice. She's curious about it, but I have been saying for years that she is a sea witch, and she has an entire ocean altar on her living room, on her dining room table. Like,
that's so cool.
It's. I mean, when I say like it's a maybe 8-foot long dining room table, and she has an entire length of it, a runner down the middle, and she has candles, she has seashells, she has like little like an ocean music box kind of thing, and she gets her energy from the sea. And she lives in Massachusetts, so in the summer she's there all summer long. We live, like, I grew up 20 minutes from the ocean. She gets her energy from the sea, but during the winter she's not gonna go take a dip in the ocean. But she lights those candles. She lights those candles. They're ocean scented, and she absorbs that energy from that. And I'm like, Mom, that's magic. Mom,
you don't know,
come on,
but you're doing it.
So yeah, I think that's one of the interesting things is that a lot of people do candle magic without knowing it, because it's one of those things that's so common. I mean, like, obviously with, obviously to us, if you see someone lighting this is a chime candle. This is what's often used in spells. You see someone lighting this, you're going to be like, oh, you're doing a spell. But if you see someone lighting just like a nice Yankee candle, you're not going to think, oh, you're doing a spell.
For sure. Or tea light even, them. Right?
Yeah. But you can use them, which is also like, you can use whatever kind of candle you want, and I love it.
And another thing, too, is just like all kinds of different spiritual practices all over the world use candles for a variety of things. Kind of like incense, right? It just kind of goes hand in hand with religion or spiritual practices. But I think of like the Catholic saint candles, or and like even at like the dollar store, there's like the Santa Muerte and the you know. So it's so fascinating how like candles are used as offerings, or as just like a boosting almost of different like prayer, magic, or spell, whatever your term for it kind of is, right?
Yeah.
Energetically, it's all kind of on the same scope, but it's all our different words.
That makes you like wonder why that is like kind of the norm, how that came to be. And to me, it's like, it just comes back to the root of what we're doing is that we are bringing light into the world. Like,
and light was so important, right?
Like it goes back to way back when I mean, there's so many myths about man like creating fire for the first time. There are so many myths, and it's so important. And like, there's some practices who are like, the first spell was man getting fire, that kind of thinking. But it's just, when I light a candle, that is the act of bringing that light into whatever intention I want. And I think that's just interesting that has become so normalized in so many different practices, not just witchcraft.
And even just like, so the importance of light for our ancestors, right? That was kind of what kept the darkness at bay, what kept the creatures lurking in the darkness at bay. And then also when we're talking about like the times before when, because even like beeswax to a point was a kind of a difficult thing to obtain and create. But most candles were made with tallow, which is created from a food source essentially. And that's a very precious material, right? And when you think about offering this precious life-giving thing that you created from an animal that you raised, and you know, you could eat this, but instead you turned it into this candle that brings you light, and you're going to be offering that to you know, whatever gives you power in your practice. It's a very, we don't have that same like depth to it now that we do, but that still is kind of carried symbolically when even in the lighting of a tea light at your altar now. So yeah, I think it's so powerful.
And one of the other benefits to being into candle magic, and especially for me, making my own candles, when you lose power, you are set.
That is so true. Oh my gosh. My one time, I
had like tea lights all over the place.
One time my friend was over and our power went off that night, and we had done like a bonfire outside, but it was time to come inside. It was getting cold. And we needed to find candles, and I keep them all under my bathroom sink. I have like a stash of the dollar store jar candles that you can get for $1. And he was like, these are like the weirdest candle. What? I'm like, don't ask. Just don't worry about it. This one's got symbols drawn on it. It's okay. We're gonna feel a little more prosperous tonight while we burn this.
Yeah, I'm gonna just bring in some extra goodness into your life while you don't have power.
So I guess since we were just talking about like the dollars for candles and everything, let's take a minute to talk about like this is obviously like a very easy, very accessible way to get like magical workings and stuff like that. So like tea lights you can get for like, you can spend $20 on Amazon and get like 200, if not more. Like, they're so accessible. So of course, like capitalism, use your ethics how you see fit. We don't judge. But so like Amazon is great. Dollar Tree has like really affordable candles.
IKEA, you can get
IKEA?
a bag
I don't have an IKEA near me.
A bag of like 200 for like $5 or something.
Wow.
I haven't been to IKEA in years, so the price might have gone up. But you can get tea lights for super cheap. You can also get tea lights from my store, but they're not that cheap. I'm sorry, I hand
Yours
make
are
them.
handmade with intention, so they're worth more.
But mine come in different colors, which you don't see often.
Yeah, no, that's really cool.
I have this little Animal Crossing bag that I keep my little travel altar in it. So like I have all these little tiny things, like a little tiny tarot deck, but I actually keep a pack of birthday candles in it. Like all these different colored candles.
Yeah.
And this was like $2 or something at Target. So
yeah, and birthday candles, I like tea lights and birthday candles for quick magic. It's great when I don't have the time to sit and like watch a candle, because you should we should talk a little bit about fire safety probably today. Well, you should always be watching your candles when you're bringing them, or at least in the same room. Don't leave your candles unsupervised, right? Like make sure they're on a fire safe plate, not on a piece of wood.
Not on a piece of wood. We're not mentioning any co-hosts.
We might be throwing back to one of our previous episodes. We will probably have it in the cards, maybe, and then also linked below. So that will be there.
But yeah, I love. Okay, so one of my guilty pleasures that I don't indulge in that often, but every once in a while, I love looking for fancy antique candle holders.
Oh,
so
yes, they're beautiful.
So I have quite a few, and it just like it's really nice because then they were made for when people used to have to burn.
I have a couple that
candles.
I've gotten thrifted too. I've got like little silver ones that just hold the chime perfectly.
Yeah,
they're great.
and then I have one that holds 3 and has a bowl in the middle that I can put my offerings in and everything. Ooh. It's great. So like, not only is it fire safe, but it's also aesthetic, and I love it.
Yes.
But also like sometimes because they're made for when candles were different common size, so I still have to make sure they're not going to tip over when I put them in there. One thing, if we're speaking about candle safety, one thing that I always find super, super helpful to do, if the candle holder is too big for your candle, melt the bottom of the candle and let it drip into the holder, and then stick it and let the melted wax just dry. It takes a few seconds, and then you're good to go for the
that's how I do it with any like plate or anything to keep it secure and upright. You can also, if you're feeling like a little like crafty too, or if you're having trouble with a candle getting it stuck in the wax, you could also take like a little bit of putty, like the stuff that you stick to walls, or like poster putty, stick that on the bottom of your plate, and then I like to stick a tack into it, and then I'll stick the candle on the tack. So that's like if I'm having trouble and I've like already melted the bottom of this candle, now it won't stand upright at all, and it's like starting to get like weird on the bottom, that's a great way to do it too.
One of the other things that I feel like we should mention, and I think this will segue into the whole topic at hand, but if you're putting oils and herbs and stuff on your candle, less is more. If you covered the whole thing in herbs and oils, has a tendency to
You
explode.
have a torch now.
So be very sparing with it. You don't need like it to be completely covered. The power is in the spell. The tools help that power, but you're not going to help yourself out at all by exploding your bedroom.
And another real quick thing, just especially in regards to the glass candles in specific, is if you're loading in herbs and stuff like that in there, it increases the temperature at which it burns.
Yeah.
So you can crack the glass or shatter it or sometimes even burst it. So especially with glass candles, like be very careful. But otherwise you can use like a Yankee candle, glass candle, or from Target, Walmart, whatever you get them, and use them to in your workings. It just be careful.
There's like candles that are like pull out candles that you can dress the actual candle and put it back in the jar, or you can just sprinkle the herbs on top of
so maybe let's
the candle.
talk about like different types of candles, and also like like a good places to get these types of candles or things like that. So we've already talked a bit about like tea lights, and we talked about birthday candles. So I guess like chime candles would be the next step up from that, right?
Yeah. So for people who I showed a chime candle a couple times now, but for people who are not watching the video, who are only on audio, a chime candle is about a 4-inch long, like 1-inch diameter
looks
or
like a big
half-inch
birthday
diameter.
candle, right? Like.
It's a big, thick birthday candle. It's not big. I mean, like it's bigger, but it's not big. It's actually like they burn about 45 minutes to an hour depending on
it's
the
not
type
too
of wax.
long at all.
And they're just like they're tall and skinny.
And they usually come in a variety of colors too. Chime candles tend to be the ones that are most common in spell work. That tends to be like the your go-to when you're wanting to do like a working and things like that. And then I guess like votive would be like the other type, which would be they're kind of short and squat. They can be in a glass container or they can be alone. These are like your negativity reversal candles that you make and sell, right? So it's kind of like it's a lot thicker than a chime, but it's shorter. They're very commonly used at like restaurants or like at weddings and stuff like that. That's where you most likely see your votive candles.
Yeah, they have a slight outward curve, like they're just, but very, very slight. It's not like a triangle angle or anything, but it's very slight.
They come in a lot of different
like
scents
those
too, which is nice. So they can be sometimes colored if they're handmade, like yours are colored, which is awesome. They come in a variety of scents though more frequently, which scent is also something that you can work into your magic a little bit, just using the correspondences. So another like fun layer.
Yeah, and then there's pillar candles. I love pillar candles for my altar candles specifically. I have 2 large. And pillar candles can come in different sizes, like different heights. But they're usually like a few inches in diameter, and
they're usually pretty solid cylinder. Like they're usually pretty like uniform from the bottom to the top.
Yeah, I have two pillar candles. I think they started out as 8 inches tall and 4 inches in diameter, and I keep those on my altar. And those are my altar candles. I burn those whenever I'm doing a spell, but they're not the spell candles. I kind of use them as like
they're your boosting, they're your offering kind of.
Yeah, like it's more just like those are always there. Which is also, those last forever. I've had the same 2 pillar candles on my altar for like almost 2 years now. They last forever, and which is also like normally when you're doing spell work, you don't want to reuse a candle. You want to let the candle burn out or discard it. You don't want to like mix up the energies of reusing a candle. Except
it's
altar
if you can have a
candles are
long
different.
term working that you go back to, but yes, for sure. The altar candles are like a general boosting kind of energy. So
so that's just something I just thought of, and I was like, I should mention, like, don't mix and match your candles with different spells because it'll like mix up the energies, unless you really have to, unless you like strap for cash or something. I mean, always like do what you need to do.
Knock that candle a couple times or something.
but generally, like you want this candle for this spell, even if it's a long-term spell. But altar candles are different. They last forever, and they are, I just light them for the altar energies.
Yeah.
So
I use 7-day glass candles for my altar candle. So very similar. It's essentially a pillar candle. It's just inside of a large glass jar.
Yeah.
These are the ones that I get from the dollar store personally. They have a lot of different colors and varieties. You can get like themed ones too. You can get them on Amazon too, but they get really expensive really quick any other place that I've found. There are ones that have the removable insert, which like Keisha mentioned, that are awesome. Those you typically find at like, I only find those at like witchcraft specialty shops. I haven't really found many other places to get them.
I find them in the grocery store. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a Chicago thing, but it's like there is like almost every grocery store I've been to in Chicago, because I never saw this in Massachusetts. So every grocery store I've ever been to in Chicago, from like the little Mexican markets to the big store, like big,
like the box store.
Box store. There's always an entire aisle, or at least half an aisle of just all these glass candles, and like it's all like all the different saints and everything, and then it has the 7-day candles and the pull-out candles.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't know.
I've seen some of the saint candles at grocery stores, but definitely not the like pull-out ones. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So pull-out candles are good. So if you have like the one that's in the glass, set in the glass, you can like draw on the outside. I like to use a Sharpie to put like sigils and stuff. But if you have the pull-out candle, you can actually like carve into the candle itself, or dress it and then put it in. Versus like if it's stuck in the glass, you can only really dress the top. Do what you have to do, but some people prefer one versus the other. Personally, I'm a cheapo. I'm gonna get the one that I can get. But both are great. And then I guess the other ones are like the standard jar candles that you get at like Yankee Candle, Target, Walmart, etc. that come in different Bath and Body Works. They come in a lot of different scents, sometimes colors, but the color of the glass, I guess, is more so than the color of the actual candle on the inside. But those you can definitely like infuse intent into as well. And those are great for like undercover things. Like if you don't want your magic to stand out, to attract attention, you just got your nice little vanilla Yankee candle. Nobody needs to know that that's boosting your intuition or whatever you might be using it for.
I think that's also one of the things I really like about candle magic in general, is that it can very much fly under the radar. If you are still in the broom closet, as they say, you can still have candles all over the place and nobody will think anything about it.
Yeah.
Unless they're also in the know, and then we might be like, that's interesting. But like even like, I'm obviously very public about my witchcraft. I don't know what would make you think that. But even like out in the living room, I mean, I have all my witchcraft books out in the living room, and I have displays and stuff, but I have these little like just candle setups that are like mini altars, and they've got some like they're different themes. Like there's a water nature water one, and there's a like forest themed one for when I want those specific energies. But it's like, but they're made to look like they're just decoration, just because I can. I'm not hiding it from anyone, but it's nice because you can. Like I have like some selenite in there, and I have some chrysocolla, and but like also sea glass, and I have like a stick of cinnamon that looks like a piece of driftwood, and like I made a whole scene out of it, and so it's just like awesome. That's one of the things I like about like I mean, people who come over know that I'm a witch, but they look at that, they're not going to think, oh, that's witchcraft. It is just like one of those things that if you want to have a little altar space but don't want to be public about it, it's one of those like candles. Just go at it and make them pretty, and there you go.
So and then I think like the last type of candle that to talk about would be like taper candles, which is kind of like a big chime candle, but they're sometimes hand dipped versus like being created in a mold or being poured into a vessel like the other candles. So they're actually the wicks are usually like a long like U shape, and then they dip both sides and then make 2 candles at a time. So they're sometimes connected still at the top, which is very fun.
I want to make those one day.
Too,
I haven't.
But I feel like I need
a
big like container for them. Depending on what size I guess you want.
You need 2 big containers. You need a big container of wax, which is also like you need to melt,
right? 'cause
you
have
need
to
to melt
divot.
a lot of wax for
Yeah.
that. That's the other thing. But yeah, you need one big container for wax to melt it in, and one container of water, because you dip it into the wax and then you dip it into the water to cool it off. So that it doesn't drip, so that it just cools off immediately, and then you dip it back into the wax, and you just build layer by layer by layer.
Yeah,
which is
it's a slow process, but I think it looks so fun, and I bet like that's
Yeah.
a really good way to like weave your intention into the
it
candle
also
making
seems
process
like
too.
very meditative.
Yeah, exactly. I want to do it so bad one day. They do it sometimes at the Ren Fair. Like if you guys go to the Ren Fair, they'll have like a candle making station. You can usually like go and do your own. So we talked about the different types of candles. I guess now let's talk about like people who are wanting to get into candle magic for the first time, or who are maybe looking for other ideas with their candle magic. Like some of the things that we've talked a little bit about, like using color or scent and carving into it. Maybe what are some of your like go-to ways to use candle magic?
I'm big on correspondences. The color of the candle
Same here
is
for sure.
always like, no matter what, I always go for the color of the candle. And if you don't have the certain color you want, a white candle will always do the trick. A white candle can be substituted for any other color. But I'm huge on color magic in general. And I don't do a lot of herbs often, but sometimes I do. But more I do oils. I made a whole bunch of my own spell candle oils. They're nothing fancy. You've made fancier, but I just made I made here's an oil with some lavender in it, and here's an oil with some peppermint, kind of thing. So like herbal correspondences, and I like to make a whole scene out of when I'm doing a spell, especially when I do spells for other people. I like to take pictures of it to send to them to be like, here, this is what I did.
Videotape when I do like spell clients.
Yeah, so I like to like set up a whole scene on my altar. We got that Libra thing. We like to make things look pretty, but and that usually means, well, like I said, I have my antique candle holders, but I really like using a lot of crystals. This is mostly where I use my crystals, is actually in my candle magic, in that I will like set them out, and I'll set my crystals out in different shapes depending on what I'm doing, or I'll set them like east, south, depending on like what I'm trying to do. And that's where, so mostly like colors and crystals, and herbs in herbal magic, I guess, in the form of oils is really what I do. Sometimes I use the actual dried up herbs, but usually in oils. Those are my three go-to things that I almost always use. Yeah.
So I guess when I do mine, I do like to carve into my candles or draw sigils on the outside. So I'll usually compare this with a sigil that I'm charging or something, or an already charged sigil that I'm just adding to like help boost this one. I have a couple like personal symbols of power that I'll carve on the candle as well. And then I'll roll it in my oil of choice. I also use honey fairly often too when I'm trying to like attract or bring stuff in to dress candles. Or I do make oils in my shop, which are available on etsy.com/feralwoodwares if you're interested. Yes,
this is Panthera's prosperity spell. This was a trial.
I have one here too.
That she was when she was just trying it out, and I use this on my prosperity candles, and
I love it.
It works.
Thank you. But yeah, then I'll dress it with oil, and then I'll usually rub it in or roll it in some ground herbs corresponding with whatever I'm doing. I also do like to do like a little circle around the base of the candle. So whether that's sometimes like salt for protection or a certain herb or something. And sometimes it's just the leftover herbs that I've dressed in. I'll like do a circle around the candle itself. I'll oftentimes put my candles over something that I'm charging too. That's something I do very often. So it might just be like, I did this with like a New Year's like resolution. Like I had my goals for the new year, so I charged them underneath of a candle. It could be just like a piece of paper. It could be like maybe it's a copy of like the contract that you just signed for the sale that you hope goes, so like you're waiting on that last thing, or like your business card or whatever it might be. But I love putting things like underneath my actual like candle plates to charge below it. I also use candles with my money bowl a lot too, so I'll use them as a very common like offering for the money bowl. So I'll put them actually in my bowl and burn them. So that has been a very common thing. And then yeah, like putting them kind of like around. I use them as like offerings on my altar still too. And then I'll usually have like long-term candles that I've like charged that I like used to have one that I lit every time I streamed. And then I have one that I light every time I edit. So like I've got these like pre-done kind of candles that are like a spell ready to go. And I just burn it when I need it and then put it out. Another thing, which we haven't really talked about, which I do, is I enchant the items that I use to light my candles too. So I actually have a reusable lighter that I use. But I've known people who use specific like black matches or things like that to add some extra, or like maybe just a normal lighter that's decorated, or I don't know. Do people still have like the fancy like Zippo lighters that you use to like customize, or I don't know if that's a thing.
I just use the long handled lighter. I never thought of that. I've never thought of doing something like that. Sometimes when I bought like different like candle kits, like spell kits on Etsy, like they'll give me, or I bought in a theme and she sent me like with it a candle and some like matches to anoint it, but matches and like the regular clicker lighter, like I do not like. I've never used them because they scare me. Okay. like they don't scare me, but like I'm like
my reusable lighter that I use.
I'm just like, I could see this going totally wrong in my hands. So I only use the one with the really long lighter, the really long stick, and we're good. I never thought of doing anything for the tools though. So that's,
yeah, I love it. So I have like a sigil on mine. I just do mine for general boosting, so that way it'll assist with any spell that I use it during. But yeah, I have a rechargeable lighter that it's kind of like a long lighter, but it has like a little plasma, like bzz, like a little electricity looking thing that you goes across. It's so cool. I love it.
I have an electric one. It doesn't work super well for incense, so I still have like
it's not the best for incense, so I'll usually light a candle first and then light the incense for that. But
yeah, I do have an electric one. So yeah,
I even once. So don't be like me, everybody. But I even went and got like a fancy candle snuffer for my like practice.
I was actually going to bring that up.
All of like one time. But
I was actually going to. I was just thinking, as you said, I was like, we should talk about snuffers because there is some I want to say debate, but like some people
theory,
like believe
right?
there's a belief that like sometimes like some people don't like to blow out a candle and they would rather snuff it. There's also a safety reason why you should snuff instead of blowing out, but that also like depends on like keep an eye on what you're doing and you'll be fine.
Like your Yankee candles and stuff. It's why they come with a lid. You're supposed to close the lid on it and cut off the oxygen instead of blowing them out because it splatters the wax.
I sometimes snuff it out. I actually have two snuffers. I sometimes snuff it out and sometimes blow it out. And this comes down to the intention for me with what the spell was for. If it's something where I was, first of all, sometimes I just let the whole candle burn. But if I'm actually putting it out, especially like if I'm doing a working over multiple days, sometimes like if it's something that is, I'm like burning away the negativity for something, I will blow it out. That energy of getting rid of something. But whereas like if it's something I want to bring in or I want to keep, then I snuff it out so that energy stays in that kind of little area. Some people say always snuff it out, and some people have different reasons.
Some people say never blow it out, never snuff it out or anything. You have to be there until the working is complete. But I don't know.
Who has time for that?
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like sitting over here like watching it burn on my altar because I can see my altar from my computer, and I'm like, you done yet? Like, can I go take a shower yet? Like,
that's actually why I have my altar set up here. In my main working altar where I do all my candle burning is right behind me. I have it there so that I can burn the candles while I'm doing stuff on the computer. I put it there. I rearranged my room deliberately so that I could have space for that in this room. For that reason, but still at the same time, sometimes I'm gonna blow that candle out, and also sometimes I'm doing a working that takes like 7 days or like multiple or like every Friday for like a month or something. Like I'm not going to I'm not going to use I'm not going to use a different candle every single time.
For sure.
But,
and sometimes, you like, using the same candle like at the same time on a certain day of the week on like a planetary hour, like which we did a whole episode on magical timing if you guys are interested in that. But that has like so much power to it, and there's a reason why they're like 7-day prayer candles and things like that you're supposed to light each day, do your prayers, and then do it again the next day. It's supposed to last. You're not supposed to just burn it until it's out. So there's definitely like culturally too, there's a backup to this that you can blow out a candle and reuse it and it's fine. So
what's your school of thought on blowing out versus snuffing?
So I got this fancy sniffer because I learned this and I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be blowing out my candles. And then I got this nice snuffer, and then I realized that the types of candles that I usually use, it's very difficult to use a snuffer with. So it's like I use the glass candles and it never fits perfectly on the top. So I've got to it's almost better. Usually what I do now, honestly, is I have like a Yankee candle or whatever equivalent, like around the White Barn candles or whatever they are. People give me candles a lot. So I'll keep like a lid from that and I'll just put it on top of the 7-day candles and stuff. So I bought this like super fancy, like silver. It's got like a griffin like carved in it, this candle snuffer.
Mine's not
and
fancy,
I use,
it's just
a wood lid. But yeah, even like chime candles, like it's so hard to like snuff them out like with a normal snuffer.
I take the snuffer and I just smush it down there and it's fine.
Even if it's like tall still, what if it's tall still? You just like crush it down. You're like,
I just smush it down. I've never had an issue. Sometimes I get some extra.
Like, always been like I want to save it if I'm gonna snuff it out, because sometimes I'll have like. Maybe I have an emergency and I've got to run outside with the dog real quick, and I've got like this candle here, so it's like, like I'm not supposed to blow it out, but so I just like do it, and it's never affected my stuff, honestly. But
are you the school of thought that you should snuff it out always, or snuff it out sometimes, or
honestly,
whatever?
Don't put much thought to it at all. It's whatever is easiest and most accessible to me at the time. But usually, most of the spells that I do now, like I said, the 7-day candles, I'll usually just put a lid over it to do, and that's most of what I do. But when it comes to like my cham candles and stuff, I usually do just let them burn out until they're done. Because like you said, it's like 45 minutes to an hour. Usually, and I'll usually do it during an amount of time where I'm able to be in the room during that time. Or if I don't have that much time, I'll do a tea light or something like that, something that's even shorter. So, but that works really well for me. What are your thoughts on electric candles? Or for what would you recommend to people who can't, maybe like college students who can't burn candles in their dorm?
I think with anything else in magic, use what you can, and it's always, they are the tools that help you achieve what you are trying to put energy into. So they help, but at the end of the day, it comes down to you. So if you want to use or have to use electric candles, go for it. I personally don't. For a multitude of reasons. First of all, I make my own candles, and second, like I don't think I've ever had electric candles ever. Except for like the ones that I put in jack-o'-lanterns. But other than that, like personally, I like fire. What can I say? But I don't. It's one of those things. I don't think that I'm sure there are people like that. That's not going to work. That's not real. But I mean, electricity, first of all, it's just another form of moving
and even if
energy.
we're talking about the symbolism of light too, it's still producing light.
Yeah. So I'm not inherently opposed to it. I don't use it for myself, but it's one of those. It's just a tool. At the end of the day, the candle is a tool.
Yeah. I could definitely see somebody like putting a sigil maybe on like on the bottom of an electric tea light or something like that, and using it over to charge things. Or it'd be a great offering too, because whether it's you're offering the actual candle itself, which the value is, and that candle is going to burn down and be gone, right? You're giving something. It's still depleting battery life, right? Like you're gonna have to replace that battery. That's still giving something material away, right?
And it's still energy. I mean, it's just a different current of energy. But I also I can't think of which ones it would be appropriate for, but I remember reading a while back about how electric candles are actually like kind of the like more quote unquote appropriate offering for some deities, depending on like what their focus is. So like if they're like
a communications deity or something, like Mercury comes to mind, like for like communications and technology and things like that.
I'm trying to think of what goddess
electricity,
was
maybe
mentioned,
even like Zeus, who's a god of like lightning, and you think of like a battery with the lightning. That's what interesting. I like that.
So there are definitely people who, I mean, there's going to be people who are like, no modernity in witchcraft whatsoever.
To each their own, right?
but I think it's totally valid, and at the end of the day, it's just another tool to accomplish what we are trying to make happen in the world.
Yeah, so. I agree right there with you. Like, I think that they can definitely be used as a tool and everything. I think it's great. Do we have any like final kind of thoughts? Or?
I was just looking at the time. I was like, we should start wrapping up. There's so much more I want to talk about. So
I feel like we could probably do a couple more. We could probably do one whole one on just making candles, because we both have made candles. So
yeah, there's so much more. I wanted to just put out a general recommendation. I've mentioned this book a lot on our live shows and in the Discord community, but there is a book, if you're interested in candle magic, great book, whether you're brand new to candle magic or you've been doing it for 10 years. Madame Pamita's Book of Candle Magic, very appropriately named.
Yes, it's fantastic. It is
so informative. It does not actually have any spells. It's not a spellwork book. It's not a how to make candles book. It is how to use candles effectively, and it goes into like how to make your own oils for anointing, how to use color magic, how to use magical timings for these different spells, for these different candles, and to achieve what you want to do. It is great.
It's very like about the layering. I love books that do that, because I got this book at your recommendation, and it's like, yes, you could just light a candle and kind of like a birthday wish, right? You can just blow out the candle and you've made your wish, right? You put that little manifestation seed into the air, but each layer that you add to that adds more. Like, if you want money, maybe you make sure your birthday candles are green that year, like, right? So there's like different layers of extra oomph and power that you can add on to these, and that book does it so wonderfully. It just walks you through like all these different ways to help boost and make your spells much more like successful or fast, like whatever results you're really looking for, basically.
Yeah, and it just goes into so much, and like my candle magic practice improved so much once I read that, and you if you do candle magic at all, you will benefit from it. So Madame
That book is
Pamita's
fantastic.
Book of Candle Magic, it's amazing. There's so much more I wanted to talk about, but we're gonna have to save it for another
we'll save it for We'll have to do a part
topic.
two.
So
I think my last final is if you're interested in seeing some candle magic, I have a couple different videos on my YouTube channel at Panthera the Pharaohwood Witch that walk you through how to make like some spell jars using candle magic. So if you're interested in that, want to see it in action, it's available there.
if there's a specific candle magic topic you want us to cover in a part 2, either leave a comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below, or join our Discord and mention it there. And we love to see what people want to see. So
we're also been talking about doing maybe some craft night soon. So maybe we'll do some actual like candle making, or even candle just like dressing and stuff all together. That would be really fun.
Mm-hmm. And if you need candles, I have a shop. So if you need a candle for those candle nights, gotcha.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. We will be back next week with our episode of Moon Magic. So be sure to check that out, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.